everybody, JC here, and welcome to another TNInews video live edition. Sorry I'm a little late getting started. Had some news I wanted to get posted up on the sites. It's in regards to the Nacelle company and their Star Trek line, so I wanted to get that up, and we'll go over that in just a minute. But before we do, let's just do a quick roll call, see who is in the house today. I see John is here. Good to see you, my friend. Also, Zim is in the house. A big box of Big Bad Toy Store coming this week with on sale. I've got one, I think, supposed to be here sometime today, with a couple of things from that sale. So nice. Let's see, 777. What is up? Collectible Fun. What is up, my friend? Good to see you. Felix is in the house. What is up? Horatio, nice to see you, my friend. John from Ireland, as always, good to hear from you. Judge Dreads, good to see you. And Jason Electric, what is up, my friend? So, so let's just jump into the news here. And as I said, for you Star Trek fans, the Nacelle company. So you may recall, you may recall at New York Comic Con, they announced their first wave of figures. So this was their first wave that they announced. Captain Jericho from 2 episodes from The Next Generation, Peter Preston from Star Trek 2, Valeris from Star Trek 3, Captain Garrett from 1 episode, Captain of the Enterprise C in 1 episode Next Generation, Tuvok from an episode of Voyager, where Tuvok and Neelix get merged together in a transporter accident. Captain Archer from Enterprise wearing an original series Mirror Universe outfit. Captain Sulu and the Vorta member Wei Yun, who ended up getting killed at the very end of Deep Space Nine. And basically during the panel, they said that essentially they were going to be focusing on these much more obscure characters instead of doing like main bridge crew members from the various shows, which I think a lot of people, including myself, thought that was probably not the best idea. Certainly doing obscure characters is nice, but I think you've got to mix in the main characters and their main outfits as well. So Brian, who owns and runs Nacelle, he put out this video today. And basically, he doesn't give any details, but he says he's heard people's feedback from New York Comic Con, and they're going to be making an announcement early next year that he feels will be making fans pretty happy. So I'm going to assume that they got the memo basically saying, yeah, I guess we better start mixing in some mainline characters along with the obscure ones. So I don't know if that means this first wave is going to change or what. They hadn't given us any kind of pre-order date for when these were going to be going up for pre-order or made available. They showed off a few of these prototypes at the convention in hand. So that's Jericho and Peter Preston, Scotty's nephew who dies in Star Trek 2. Captain Garrett, again, captain of the Enterprise C. So basically, only appeared in 1 episode. Well, her statue appeared in Star Trek Picard season 3, but she really only appeared in 1 episode. So I don't know how they're going to change things up or what. But again, for those of you who are like, I want some mainline, I want to be able to get the main characters as well. He hasn't specifically said that, but based on the video he put out, that was my takeaway. So when more details do become available for you Star Trek fans, I will be sure to let you guys know. Of course, I am a Star Trek fan, so I am keeping close tabs on this. I definitely, I thought their figures, what they showed us, I thought looked good, and I like seeing some of these obscure characters. I just feel like you got to do main characters as well. If you're going to do Peter Preston, then you also need to give us the main Star Trek II Wrath of Khan crew, which is my favorite. Those are my favorite movie outfits from Star Trek 2 on to, through Star Trek 6. Those are definitely my favorite outfits. And again, some of these other characters are cool, but definitely you got to do mainline characters, mix them up, and what have you. And hopefully, I would love to see them do ships similar to what like Playmates used to do as well. I would love to see that. But right now, they said at New York Comic Con no plans for ships or play sets or anything, though I guess that could change down the road. And even though they call this a 112 scale line, which I generally think of 6-inch figures when you say 112, at New York Comic Con, they basically said these were going to be closer to 7-inch figures. So, probably in keeping with the older Art Asylum Diamond Select toy figures. I guess McFarlane did Picard and Kirk, also 7-inch figures. So, probably going to be in keeping with those. And also, while we're on the subject of Star Trek, I just wanted this came out yesterday. I'll get to it. So this is a short film. Um, it's called Unification. It is actually done in conjunction with Paramount. William Shatner was an executive producer on this, and they worked with the Leonard Nimoy estate. Of course, Leonard Nimoy passed away back in 2015. But and this week was celebrating the 30th anniversary of Star Trek Generations, which is the last movie William Shatner appeared in as Captain Kirk, and of course he died in that movie. It was kind of the bridge movie between the Next Generation and the original series. Had kind of mixed result reviews, I think, back then. It's an okay movie. It's just for the final William Shatner movie. It definitely could have been better. I think a lot of people would have liked to have seen Kirk go out on the bridge of the Enterprise, even if it was the Enterprise D. And then obviously, while there were other characters that appeared in that movie from the original series, Chekhov and Scotty, we did not have Dr. McCoy or Spock in there. So this short film that they did, which again, this is basically officially sanctioned. Obviously, there's using some de-aging technology and stuff in this, um, but this is probably the closest. Basically, Captain Kirk says farewell to his best friend Spock, and it definitely it brought tears to my eyes. Let's put it that way. And I think it'll probably depend on how big of a Star Trek fan you are, and especially how big of a fan you are of the original series. Um, so, in the beginning of it, it's kind of a little bit weird because we have this character from the original series, which, if you read the books at all, they kind of equate him. He was one of Kirk's best friends. He gets zapped with this when they try to go through the barrier, and he gets zapped with these powers. And like some of the books have equated that to like Q powers and things like that. But so some of that, I don't know, it's kind of weird. But essentially, this is Kirk after he dies in Generations, and Spock, who died in the Spock Prime Leonard Nimoy died in the J.J. Abrams Chris Pine Star Trek movies, because he ended up going through a black hole type thing, and ended up he went back in time essentially, where they then changed time, which then became a different universe, and yada yada yada. But what Leonard Nimoy's last appearance on Star Trek was in, I want to say, I forget if it was the second or the third Chris Pine Star Trek movie. But so again, if you're a big Star Trek fan, especially of the original series, then I highly recommend that you check out this short video that is up on YouTube. And again, this is all essentially officially done. So that it's not like this is, I mean, it's kind of fan made, but it's not, because again, it's all kind of officially sanctioned. Um, and kind of giving us a scene that I feel like many of us would have loved to have seen back during the original Generations movie, or at some point. And they even brought in like Robin Curtis is who played Savick in Star Trek 4, Star Trek 3 and 4, not Star Trek 2. That was Christy Alley, but then they replaced the Savick actress with her, and I believe that's supposed to be Sarek, Spock's father. Um, so yeah. Anyway, if you're a Star Trek fan, definitely I recommend that you check that out. All right, so and honestly, I don't know how many of you guys on here are Star Trek fans. I'm a huge Trek fan. I probably would go as far as to say I'm probably a bigger Star Trek fan than I am a Star Wars fan. My mom got me into Star Trek when I was a kid. I watched the original series in syndication well before like Next Generation even began. Um, my mom took me to the movie theaters to see Star Trek: The Motion Picture when it first came out in theaters, which I think was like 1978. Um, so I've always been a huge Star Trek fan. Um, so yeah, Martin. Hi. Last week, the Marvel Legends Secret Wars pop up in Target was on sale, 18.99. Not bad. It's by, well, on sale if you're part of Target's Red Circle thing, I believe. Um, but yes, the Secret Waves the Secret Wars wave has been showing up at physical stores. I just got notification yesterday from Big Bad Toy Store that they're getting ready to come in stock there. So if you have those on pre-order or what have you, or wanting to add those, they are starting to drop. Hey, Toy Hunter, yo, JC, do you think Hasbro will end up dropping Marvel or Star Wars soon? No, I don't. We've actually talked about this before. It's pretty clear that Hasbro's got the license through the end of next year. So, and as I've said before, unless Hasbro decides they don't want the license anymore, as they move further and further away of producing their own action figures and just license stuff out to other companies. If they decided they didn't want to pursue the license, then maybe somebody else will get it. But I think as long as Hasbro wants that license or those licenses from Disney, that their relationship with Disney is strong enough that I think they would keep it. So definitely, we've got the current license has over a year to go before it even expires, and then we'll see what happens from there. So I Toy Hunter Star Wars better than Star Trek. I mean, I'm a huge Star Wars fan too. So I like them. I love them both. But to me, I guess because Star Trek has always been, to me, it's represented where I hope one day we as humanity can get to a place, and so it has a more, Star Wars is just kind of, it's in a galaxy far, far away type thing. And so it's always had more of that fantasy element, where Star Trek to me is a more realistic, look, what I hope will end up being kind of like our future. Obviously, there are sci-fis that do apocalyptic type futures and stuff, and Star Trek has always been, for the most part, fairly positive. And so that's always resonated with me, I think. Um, and Star Trek, if you just look, just has so much, at least books too. I mean, world building. If you're into world building type stuff, I mean, Star Trek was the original goat for that. Well before the MCU or anything like that, Star Trek was doing that whole world building. Um, they've gotten a little lazy with it with the newer shows, I feel, which I don't really like. But just having where the different shows and stuff interact with each other and stuff, and it kind of builds upon each other. Like I say, long before the MCU came along and started doing that type of thing, Star Trek was doing it, both in TV and movies. So in 2024, we should see be more advanced than we are. A lot of people want to go back in time, not forward. Uh, the thing is, as far as technology, I think we're pretty advanced. The problem is the technology is getting more advanced than than our natural evolution. I think we as man, as a species, tend to revert to our most basic instincts, um, and really have not evolved to that higher level. You know, Certainly individuals, but I think more so than others, but as a whole, I think we still tend to, greed and things like that. We still are very, uh, we still have a tendency to fall back on that stuff. Now, to be honest with you, with Star Trek, you know, I guess Enterprise was the series that was supposed to kind of show us how we got from where we are today to that future, but they didn't really ever do a good job. And like, warp engines, it's kind of like, if you ever watch Star Trek First Contact, the warp engine, like, we met the Vulcans and stuff. But I feel like it was really the replicator that we would need an invention like a replicator where you could essentially replicate things, pretty much out of thin air, so that resources weren't limited if we're ever going to really get to that point, you know, from an evolutionary point. But and to be fair, I mean, while we evolved and went out into the stars, as Q said in the pilot of Next Generation, we still found other people to fight and stuff. So, um, you know, Federation has had quite a few wars. They're not quite the utopia that the original, I think, premise of Star Trek painted it out to be. What are the odds of Super 7 getting the Marvel license? Like the main Marvel license, like Marvel Legends, I would say like 1,000,000 to 1. I don't think that would ever happen. I think, honestly, I mean, I know McFarlane would love to get the Marvel license, but I don't know if they would be able to, even if it became available. But I do know Todd McFarlane, because he said so, would definitely like to get the license. Mattel would probably be able to handle a bigger company like a Mattel, because you got to remember, again, we've talked about this before, but you got to remember that licenses like Marvel and Star Wars, it's not just the 6-inch collector oriented stuff that we, you know, talk about and collect. It is also all the kids junk, the Titan Hero stuff and the all the there's a lot of product out there that gets for those licenses that is truly geared for kids. And as a toy company, you have to be able to produce that stuff as much as the collector oriented stuff. And again, you take McFarlane, who got the DC license, but that only happened because Warner Brothers was willing to split the license up and allow McFarlane just to do the collector oriented stuff, and then gave Spin Master the license to do the more kid oriented stuff. And I don't know if Disney would want to break the license up like that or what have you. So, um, but no, I don't think. I mean, that's not to say Super 7 couldn't get some variation, like, kind of like Diamond Select Toys does 7-inch scale Marvel Select figures. So that's not to say that Super 7 maybe down the road could get something like that, but they're not going. I don't think Super 7 would ever be the master license holder for Marvel or Star Wars. Even if another company got the Marvel license, would people really buy the collection all over again? I would not. I guess it depends. The thing about Marvel, sticking with the collector, sticking Marvel Legends. So one of the things, like if you looked at the difference between the Star Wars license and the Marvel license, like, I think a lot of people would say that the Marvel license has been a stronger, Marvel Legends has been a stronger line than the Star Wars Black Series stuff or what have you. And I think a large part of that, it's not just Hasbro themselves, but you have to remember that, Jesse Falcon, who, helped create Marvel Legends when it was at Toy Biz, he still works for Marvel. he is basically the guy that goes around to all these companies that have Marvel licenses that make toys, and he basically, he makes sure that the companies are producing products satisfactory, to the, to Disney and the license holder. And of course, Jesse Falcon knows Marvel Legends better than anybody because he was there from day one. So his input is what I think has helped keep the Marvel Legends line so strong throughout the years, even though it's a different company making them. That's not to say people like Dwight, haven't had huge impact on the line as well. But you've got that person, that one person that has kind of overseen the line. It's like we talked about this before. Like, say McFarlane did get, say, the Marvel license, or at least the license to do something like Marvel Legends. Obviously McFarlane does a lot of 7-inch scale stuff, but I feel like if they ended up getting, like, say, Marvel Legends, somebody like Jesse Falcon would be like, you've got to do 6-inch figures. You can't jump up to 7-inch scale figures for Marvel Legends. So, his kind of input, I think, would keep the line, much more in keeping. It wouldn't probably be 100% the same thing that we're getting from Hasbro, but his, him overlooking the line would, I think, keep it like a 6-inch scale line and things like that. Where Star Wars doesn't really have that. Lucasfilm, people at Lucasfilm, there isn't that person that's, been there since the Kenner days or something that is giving that kind of feedback for the Star Wars stuff. So, yeah. So that's something to keep in mind, regardless of who gets the license. As long as, somebody like Jesse Falcon is at Marvel overseeing the license, that's going to play a large role in what we end up getting, I think. But there's also something to be said when you think about Marvel. That Marvel Legends license has been around a long time now, and we've gotten so many different characters over the years, and obviously many we've gotten multiple times over and over again. So it does come a point where it's like you're doing either the most obscure characters that's, very few people actually know and therefore aren't going to be as interested in collecting, or you're just going back and redoing the same figures over and over and over and over. You make these small improvements, in articulation or what have you, but essentially you're just doing the same characters over and over again so a line like Marvel Legends that has been around for so long, it's very, in my opinion, it's hard to keep it fresh, and especially because I don't think a lot of people read comics. I don't think nearly as many people read comics as they did like when I was young and grew up on that stuff. And I think for younger generations, it's been the movies that have kept people invested in things like Marvel. But even as interest in the movies has kind of waned in recent years, that also has an impact on a line like Marvel. Same thing with Star Wars. So, that's something you have to kind of keep in mind as well. All right, let's jump back into news. So what else? So McFarlane, for you McFarlane fans, well, since we've been talking about McFarlane, DC Multiverse, we've got Batman versus Professor Zoom from Flashpoint. So we've gotten these guys before in the DC Multiverse line, so good example of getting repeats of characters. But this is going to be a 2-pack. I don't know if we just had the preview image, so I don't know if there'll be a masthead with this one. Again, we've gotten this figure before, this version before, but same thing with Zoom, Reverse Flash, whatever you want to call him. So, but these are going up for pre-order. The set's going up for pre-order next week on the 27th. Should be available Amazon, Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, the usual. So that's coming. We talked about this yesterday in the Action Figure Enthusiast live stream. McFarlane launched this new crowdsourcing thing. These are statues, wall plaque type statues made to mimic the corners of comic books with Batman and Superman. The site loads slow. Let's see. Still have Oh, they've reached their minimum funding goal since we talked yesterday. They are now at 68,728. The minimum was 50,000. So this is definitely going forward. Still has 20 days to go. So again, these are basically like statues that are made to mimic the corners of the comic book that you can hang on your wall. There's autograph versions. They're doing Batman, Superman, so you can buy them individually or you can buy them together. And then again, there's autograph versions as well. But this has been fully funded, so this will definitely be moving forward. We talked about these new listings, so I don't really feel like going over this again. If you missed yesterday's live stream, um, you can go over to TNI and read the latest batch of unconfirmed product listings. I should also note, I think I forgot to mention this. There was product listings that popped up last week as well, and those were removed from the site. Um, so I don't know if that means these are not coming out or what. So these listings from last week, um, we'll have to see what happens with those. I don't know why they were pulled. They don't usually get pulled, but for pre-orders, we've got coming up this week on November 22nd. These are reissues. I've talked about these the other day. So the new Batman Adventures. These are 6-inch figures, reissues from DC Collectibles. There's 3 figures: Batman, Scarecrow, and the Riddler. And again, these are going up for pre-order on Friday. NECA, for you Nightmare Before Christmas fans, we've got Ultimate Series 1 figures. So this features Jack, Sally, and the Mayor, and Santa Jack. So these right now are available at Big Bad Toy Store. Entertainment Earth will probably have these up later today. You can buy Jack, it looks like individually, but it looks like for the others, you have to buy them as a set. So the set is 140 bucks. So these are 7-inch figures, 7-inch scale, I should say. I think Nick has done Nightmare Before Christmas figures before, but again, these are new. These are all the accessories. So, like I say, these are available for pre-order currently at Big Bad Toy Store. I think NECA might have them up on their own store as well, and Big Bad Toy Store, I suspect, will get them soon. Also, again, we talked about this yesterday, but NECA is going to be doing reveals that they're going to be offering on their NECA store over the course. So I guess the Nightmare Before Christmas stuff was today's the 20th. We'll have something else drop on the 22nd, so Friday, and then next week as well on the 25th and 29th. Let's jump over to Marvel Legends. So the pre-order date for this Captain America shield, technically based on the upcoming movie Brave New World. This is going up for pre-order tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Places like Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth. Also going up for pre-order tomorrow, those MCU reissue figures, again at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth. These will be showing up at physical stores like Walmart and Target as well. These are just reissues, so nothing new here. But if you missed out on them before, you get another shot at them. And then for you Mezco 112 Collective fans, going up for pre-order today, available now at places like Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, is the Deadpool and Wolverine figure. You can see Wolverine comes with multiple masked and unmasked heads, multiple hands, multiple clawed hands, some claw slashing effects, and a base. So Deadpool went up for pre-order previously, and I think probably sold out pretty much everywhere. But again, Wolverine is up now. Cost is $125. Still available at Big Bad Toy Store. Still available at Entertainment Earth. If you get it at Entertainment Earth, you get free shipping. Mezco has it up on their website, though I don't know if it's still available, but they had it up earlier. So again, for you Wolverine fans, Mezco 112 Collective figure. For Transformer fans, we've got, well, we talked about this yesterday, but let me just recap it real quick. This is a repaint of Grimlock, obviously, but it is Megatron type Transformers Godzilla Synergy X Series crossover. So this is supposed to be Godzilla, I guess, but it's just a repaint of Grimlock and in black colors. I guess with a Megatron head, nothing really says Godzilla to me about this, other than it's a dinosaur. But like, I said this yesterday, but like they could have at least stuck some Godzilla like fins on his back or something. I don't know. So, but that went up for pre-order yesterday. So that's $65 if you want to get that. And then we also got, this has not gone up for pre-order. This was announced as a pipeline reveal last month, but for their gamer series, for the studio series line, Ironhide. So the WFC Ironhide figure. So we've got some official images for that have popped up online. So I'm not sure when this is going up for pre-order, probably fairly soon, but I don't have an exact pre-order date for these. But the fact that the official images have popped up online would suggest that they will be going up fairly soon. You Star Wars fans, again, we talked about these yesterday, but they are now available for pre-order. So for you vintage collection fans, from the latest season of The Mandalorian, we've got IG-12 with Grogu and Anzilon, or however you say his name, the little guy that first appeared in the sequel movies. So this is a deluxe type figure. It is going to cost you $25. And you got the little Grogu that sits inside, so you can control IG-12. You can take out Grogu if you want. So again, that is now available for pre-order at places like Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth. I don't think it's shown up on Amazon yet. Same thing for this Force X, FX Elite lightsaber based on the character from Ahsoka. The actor passed away, unfortunately, so I don't know if they're going to recast him or what when we get to the movies. But his lightsaber is getting the Force XF FX treatment with the light up blade, that kind of orangey type blade instead of the darker red like generally Siths get. And that one's going to cost you $250. Again, available at places like Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth. That's pretty much it for your main news. Since I talked to you guys yesterday and Monday, going down some new SH Figure Art stuff went up for pre-order. Those Lord of the Ring figures are now available for pre-order. We've talked about these before. $100 for the Aragon figure and $84.99 for the Frodo. I think that's right. Yeah. So again, you get those at Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth. Oh, again, we talked about this yesterday, but we'll recap it here. Mumra, Lion-O, Jackalman from Super 7. These are 5.5-inch figures done in the, Masters of the Universe style, that kind of vintage retro style. So if you want to get, collect a new line of Thundercats. You know, they have basic accessories, basic articulation, but kind of in keeping with Masters of the Universe figures. If you want to mash up those lines, like these would go probably pretty well with your Origins if you're collecting that. So $30 each, and again, these went up for pre-order yesterday. So yeah, that pretty much brings you up to date on the action figure news front. So let's see what you guys are talking about. As I rambled, Judge Dredd says would be hard to do seven. Well, I mean, again, like going Diamond Select Toys and the Playmates Toys ships were not actually in scale with the figures, but they're cool display pieces if you like the ships. Mr. Allmine, speaking of a fan made short of Batman Beyond was dropped last week. It's pretty good. I have not seen that. I'll take a look, see if I can find that. I assume it's a cartoon, not a live action Batman Beyond. Yo, JC, do you think Hasbro talk to that? Got that one. Judge Dredd's like Star Trek. Nice. Jason's Electric. I'm a huge Star Trek fan. I got the 1/6 scale of Captain Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. Like, I have, like, back when Art Asylum, I don't know how many of you remember Art Asylum, which was bought out by Diamond Select Toys. So, Diamond Select Toys basically took over Art Asylum Star Trek line. But, like, I still display my go-to outfits for the original series are those Wrath of Khan outfits, and then for Star Trek: The Next Generation, I have the First Contact blue outfits, the movie outfits that they wore starting with First Contact. I was also really disappointed. Like, I love Star Trek Picard season 3. Um, if you're a Next Generation fan, I thought that was great, and I was really hoping they were going to do kind of a series to pick up and carry on with that. But so far, there's been no real indication of that. So I'm definitely pretty disappointed. I have no interest in a Section 31 movie, which was originally going to be a series, or even a Starfleet Academy series that's going to take place in the same time period as Star Trek Discovery. I would much rather have a series that picks up in the Next Generation timeline from Picard Series 3, but I'm not sure we're ever going to get that. IE Toys, I don't see any Star Trek. Well, that's not true. You can see the Enterprise back there next to Unicron, but I have most of my Star Trek stuff that I have on display is in my upstairs office. So, like, I used to have back in the 90s, like, I used to collect all the Star Trek Playmates stuff, the 5-inch figures and the ships, and then I collected most of the Art Asylum stuff. They got that license when the Enterprise series first came out, so I had most of that stuff, but then just kind of packed it away, and a lot of it I've since sold off. But, like, upstairs, I still have my original series crew in their Wrath of Khan outfits with the Enterprise A, and then I have the Next Generation crew with the Enterprise E. Because for Next Generation, I was not a big fan of the Enterprise D. I always liked the Enterprise E better for the Next Generation. But the Enterprise, like the refit Enterprise from the movies or Enterprise A, that is my favorite all-time Star Trek ship. So, and Tommy just did this, like, I think I talked about this back when they were doing it, like a few months ago, where they like a really elaborate Star Trek model type ship of the Enterprise A with lights and stuff, which was not cheap. It was like $700, and I ended up backing that. So it won't come out until next year, but when I get that, you'll probably see it on display. Mattel can take over if Hasbro drops Marvel or Star Wars. Maybe McFarlane too. They are the biggest. I mean, I don't think McFarlane's bigger than like. I mean, if a Jazzwares or a Jax, I mean, those companies I think are bigger than McFarlane. But they're not really suited. Those companies don't do well with collector oriented stuff. They do well with the kids stuff. But so I don't know. Alonzo says Star Wars is better than Star Trek. Judge Dredd most likely would change scale to see the same characters, just like Todd did when they got DC. As long as Jesse Falcon's at Marvel, I would be surprised if we saw anything but 6-inch Marvel Legends articulation style type figures. I could be wrong, but if I was a betting man. The Nerd Alert, what's up, JC? And the chat, good to hear from you. Nestor, hello, hello. I'm watching this during my late lunch between sessions. Nice. Hope you're having a good lunch. I don't know, sessions mean classes or you're at work, school, but whatever. Welcome. The Radar. Did you see Shartimus Prime's new video showing off Marvel Select Deadpool? I have not seen that. I'm trying to think. Deadpool. Now you got me curious because I hadn't. Oh, it looks like it just went up an hour ago. So no, I have not looked at that, but I will take a look at that. Judge Dredd just saw Mezco Wolverine up at Big Bad Toy Store. Also Entertainment Earth, but yes, it just went up this afternoon. Judge Dredd says $125. Say crazy. People seem willing to spend. I mean, we're talking about a small number of people in the overall scheme of things. That's why, Mezco 112 collecting figures are not as popular as, say, Marvel Legends because they cost a lot more money. But there's definitely a market, people who are like diehard Mezco 112 collector fans who I'm sure will buy that. I mean, the Deadpool figures sold out, the Mezco Deadpool, so I suspect Wolverine will probably sell out at some point. I've never been a fan of the full. I'm with you there, Chris. Some of the Mezco stuff to me is good, but like I look at that Mezco Wolverine, and I'm much happier with the Marvel Legend version. Um, so I am there. Generally, I prefer plastic over cloth. Gobo Cop, good to see you. Well, hopefully you didn't miss everything, but if you did, you can go back and watch the rewind. Mr. Oma, the Batman Beyond is a live action. That's even more interesting. I think if they ever do a Batman Beyond live action series, if they don't get Michael Keaton as old man Bruce Wayne, that would be a huge missed opportunity, in my opinion. What else do we know about the company behind the new Double Dragon figures? I did see something about Double Dragon the other day, but honestly, I did not look that closely at it. So I'll have to get back to you on that. Was it 52K Toys or somebody who was doing that? I don't know. MCR Enterprise D is your favorite. I don't know. As they said in Star Trek Picard season 3, it's the fat ship, and it was never my favorite. The Enterprise E. I mean, the reason why I like the Enterprise A more than like any of the modern ships is because I like the old model special effects. CGI has come a long way over the years, but you still just don't get the kind of detailed shots. If you go back and you watch Star Trek the Motion Picture or Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan, and when they do those close up shots of the Enterprise, those are just gorgeous. Whereas you just don't get that kind of detail with the more modern CGI created ships. They look good, but and again, as the technology's gotten better over the years, they look better than they used to. But I still think nothing better than when you go and you look at those old models that they used to use for the ships and stuff, and you really get that kind of close up detail. Same thing for like Star Wars and everything. You lose something when you don't. I mean, I know it's easier, I know it's cheaper, I know it's faster when you do the CGI stuff, but the model stuff really gives you just like details with ships like that you don't get with the CGI stuff. Star Trek the motion picture overall is a pretty boring movie, but the soundtrack and then just the visuals of the Enterprise, the refit Enterprise, I mean, I could watch that over and over again. Have I seen the Hyatt Toys one? I have. Well, I don't own any. I haven't had any in hand. I've seen them at shows. I've seen the promo pictures. I like the first Chris Pine, J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie. I thought that was a pretty good movie, but the other two that they did, I don't think were that great. So I am not as huge a fan of the Abrams Star Trek stuff. I don't think Star Trek should be Fast and the Furious, which is what I felt like they tried to turn Star Trek into with most of those Abrams movies. So um, again, I thought the first one was pretty good. I thought they did a good job of like explaining, how we got into this alternate universe and stuff. But after that, it just kind of went downhill. I love the Defiant. John says I love Deep Space Nine. If I had to, for my overall favorite Star Trek series, Deep Space Nine is my favorite series. I think the earlier seasons aren't as good, but when they started to get into with the Dominion and the Jem'Hadar and the Dominion War, I mean that is truly some of your best Star Trek I think that they've ever done. And I love Captain Cisco. I mean Captain Kirk is probably my all-time favorite captain, but Cisco is probably a close second. Classified Dragonfly. So yes, I have it hanging over here. So yes, that is my Dragonfly HasLab. Undiscovered Country is an awesome movie. My favorite. See, Star Trek Two: The Wrath of Khan is probably the best Star Trek movie. Star Trek Three and Star Trek Four, which those three movies together are the best Star Trek movie wise. I thought Undiscovered Country was okay, but it was not a great movie. Definitely, they got a little silly with things like, when they're trying to pretend like they speak Klingon and looking it up in the book and stuff. It just, I don't know. It is not my favorite movie by far. Like I say, as far as like just best Star Trek movies, Star Trek 2, 3, and 4. 4 is much more lighthearted than 2 and 3, but after you had 2 and 3, I thought that really worked well. Star Trek First Contact with the Next Generation is really the only Next Generation movie that I thought was decent. The other movies just came off more like long episodes. Um, so, and Star Trek Picard season 3, well, technically not a movie, is really um, a much better finale for the Next Generation crew than like Star Trek Nemesis ever was. Did I have problems with the cockpit? It is difficult to get the figures in and out of the cockpit. I didn't have any problems with the canopy, if that's what you mean, but you do have to be careful with the plastic when you're opening those side doors. So I didn't have like any real problems, but I have said that it is very much a pain in the ass getting the figures in and out of those seat belts and seated, in those seats easily. You should see it in the original clean. I was gonna try and give you my Shakespeare impersonation, but I don't think I could do it. DS9 is my favorite show, but I cannot decide on what's my favorite movie. Star Trek 2 is just that is such a great movie. Um, Again, you get the visuals from Star. I mean, they reused many of the visuals from Star Trek: The Motion Picture in Star Trek 2. Khan is just Ricardo Montalban was a great villain. Even the original episode that he appeared in is pretty good. But that to me, that is your ultimate, space battle. That's your ultimate Kirk, where he doesn't believe in the no-win scenario. You've got the death of Spock, which still brings a tear to my eyes, even though I know he comes back to life. That is just that movie is great. And then Star Trek 3, I thought was really well done. As a follow up to Star Trek 2, and then again, kind of tops out that whole story arc with Star Trek 4. The whales thing is kind of it's like I say, it's not Star Trek 4 is not nearly as like action oriented or anything as the 2 and 3, but it's a nice way to finish off that whole storyline in my opinion. But Star Trek 2, again, um, I just think is I don't think you'll ever top that movie for Star Trek. Um, the Duplo Enterprise toy with the figures was real. I did not ever get that. It looked really cool for if you're into building blocks and stuff, but I did not get that. They did a Klingon bird of prey too, but I didn't get that either. I hung it the literally was it last week I did the video where we took a look at it, and then I literally hung it up right after I got done with that video. I knew where I was going to put. I knew I was going to. I mean, the moment I ordered it, the Dragonfly, I knew I was going to hang it because I knew I wasn't going to have shelf space to display it. So I knew hanging it was always going to be my, where how I was going to display it, and I just ended up finding that spot right there. And as I've said before, it hangs well. If you just string a wire around the propeller, it's nice and even, so it doesn't like move around on you and stuff. So yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, Syndicate Toys. That's not what I saw the other day, but you're right. I totally forgot about the Syndicate Toy stuff. So Syndicate Toys, if you don't know, it's a it's a joint venture between Toy and K, which is a online toy e-tailer, and the guy who actually ran and basically was behind Soda Toys and those Street Fighter figures back in the day, the 6-inch Street Fighter figures from Soda Toys. The guy behind that company is basically the guy behind Syndicate Collectibles, which is a joint ventures with Toy and K, which is a toy e-tailer. So um, if you ever had any of those Soda Street Fighter figures, I've not had in hand any of the new Syndicate stuff, but I assume it's going to be pretty close to that kind of quality. So, um, but yes, those I remember seeing on at like San Diego. So I haven't got a lot of information on those. They haven't gone up for pre-order or anything like that. I don't think, but we did see those briefly at some of the conventions. And that's a Syndicate Collectibles is a brand new company. I think they've been around for like a year maybe. So they are just kind of getting off the ground. But again, one of the main guys behind that company is also the guy that was behind Soda Toys. Yeah, I think you're right. Playmobil, not Duplo, is what he was talking about. Crops, but yes, I believe that. And it is for Playmobil. It's like a really cool. It was a really cool, elaborate thing. At least I'm pretty sure that's what he was talking about. Jay, still have my Dragonfly in the box. I still haven't opened my Thunder Tank. And you got some opening to. Yeah, my Thunder Tank's over here. But I got to be honest. Like my Thunder Tank sits on top of it's like a dresser type thing, but like there's a shelf over it, so there's about this much space. So like I can see it, but only from the side, and it just kind of sits there. The Thunder Tank is a cool toy, but there's not a lot you can do with it. It is huge. It is heavy. Um, you know, there's a part of me that was very tempted to get the Super 7 Thundercat Slayer, but that thing is just so huge. I just would never have any place to display it. And while I do think the Thunder Tank was cool, in the overall scheme of things, there's not much I can do with it. It doesn't display figures very well. So, my Thundercat figures can't see it really, but they're back here. The microphone's in the way, but on the shelf back there, that's where my Thundercat figures. But my Thunder Tank is sitting over here, basically. Rob says Playmobil has some good nostalgia beat. Like, yeah, I mean, they come up with some cool things. Like they did the A-Team van, that looked cool. I think they did Knight Rider, that was pretty cool. Ghostbusters. So they do some cool stuff. I've never really bought any of them, but I've seen them. I've seen them at shows and stuff like that. So they look cool. I'm just not that much into building block stuff. I mean, I was kind of tempted to get those Mega Block that new Mega Block GI Joe set, but again, I'm just not that much into building block stuff. All right, well, we've been over an hour, so I think we are going to call it. But I don't think I'm going to do a video tomorrow. Um, I won't 100%. I was thinking about maybe doing a action figure enthusiast video, maybe looking at the new Marvel Legend Deadpool and Wolverine figures, even though I'm sure you guys have seen 50 million reviews. But I don't know. Play that by ear. But I will be back on Friday with a regular news video. And then next week, Thanksgiving week, I don't think I'm probably going to get any videos up next week. Again, I'm going to be spending it with my dad. So don't expect any videos next week. Well, of course, any breaking news we'll have up on the websites as it happens. If you have become an action figure enthusiast member, and we're up to 23 members at last count. So thank you to everybody who has joined and become an action figure enthusiast channel member. Um, Again, there is a section that I created, the Action Figure Enthusiast Clubhouse, I call it, over on the TNI forums, where it is just for action figure enthusiast channel members. Only they can access it. If you are a member and you still haven't gone over there, you can register for an account on the forums and then hit me up with like a private message, and I'll send you an invite. But and I may do something over there for guys next week, like a contest or something. I haven't decided, but no videos next week because again, I'm going to be spending it with my dad. My dad's getting to that point where this could very well be the last Thanksgiving I'm able to spend with him. So um, that's where kind of my priority next week is. But again, we will have any breaking news. Next week as we go into Thanksgiving, it's going to be pretty slow news wise. I wouldn't expect a lot. But we'll have any news up on the websites. If there are any big sales like Amazon or Big Bad or Entertainment Earth, things like that, we'll post about it there as well. I do suspect we'll get some Black Friday sales as we go into next week. So keep an eye out for that if you're looking for discounts. But again, we'll definitely have a video up on this Friday, recapping kind of all the news for the week, anything that happens between now and Friday as well. But again, a big thank you, everybody that, whether you're a channel member or non-channel member, thank you for checking out the channel, watching the videos, but also just a big thank you to everyone who has decided to become a channel member. Road Pig John, for those of you, yesterday's contest, just to let you know, he chose the $100 store credit to Big Bad Toy Store. I gave you guys the option. The winner had the option of the store credit or a Sentinel, X-Men 97 Sentinel, which he wouldn't get until next year when Hasbro ships it out. But he went with the store credit. So again, congrats to him. More contests will be coming, definitely. So again, thank you, everybody. If I don't talk to you live between now and Thanksgiving, I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving, safe Thanksgiving, assuming you celebrate Thanksgiving. John in Ireland, I don't know if you do Thanksgiving or not, but everybody, have a great week next week. If you're going to take time off, spend it with family. Hope you enjoy it. And then the following week, I will definitely be back, and we will continue to do stuff here on YouTube. So that's it. As always, guys, stay safe out there. And until next time, I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching today's video. Now, if you're new to the channel, please think about hitting that subscribe button. Also hit the bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. For all the latest action figure news, be sure to head over to ToyNewsEye.com, MarvelousNews.com, JediInsider.com, and TFormers.com. And remember, action figures are great,